Hello everyone, I'm going to use another video in the future as a more detailed explanation of what the conflict is and what's going on with the conflict in the Middle East. But in today's video, I'm going to simply go ahead and explain what the next steps are for the market, why I am overall bullish for the next few months. And like I've been saying, every dip is going to be a good buying opportunity. I'm not bearish until maybe after summer. Every dip is a good buying opportunity. Yes. Let's just go right into it. Yes, this is the NASDAQ. We're obviously seeing new highs, right? Even if we get a solid pullback, even if the QQQ gets a solid pullback back down to the 520s, 510s even, that's not even a huge pullback, only a 4 or 5% pullback. All of these are good buying opportunities, in my opinion, for the next 2 months. In my opinion, these are not bearish signs. When you see this much strength, and what really denotes strength, this is what really denotes strength. When there is massive buying volume, massive buyers, where we are starting to trade outside of the upper level of the Bollinger Band. Generally, in a more bearish market, when this occurs, right, as we know, when you're trading outside of the upper or the lower level of the Bollinger Band, that tends to be an overextension to the upside or the downside. So algorithmically, there should be a return to inside of the Bollinger Band. The easier thing is when you're trading outside of the lower band to lean long. It becomes extremely difficult and extremely risky to try to go short when you're trading outside of the upper band. Okay, so currently this rally that we're seeing right now out of the market is primarily caused by a lot of these tech stocks, Coinbase, Bitcoin related names, IWM related names. So for example, NVDA. This is showing a lot of strength. What we saw was NVIDIA was simply just consolidating at 144. This was a very major level of support, and we were just consolidating very tight. As we broke above 144, skyrocketed up. AMD, monster move to the upside, clearly trading outside of the upper bands here, right? This is not a time where you would necessarily want to become extremely bullish, but by all means, this is not a time where you want to become bearish because of the extreme strength. The strength in the market is determined by institutions pumping a lot of money into these stocks. Okay, you don't want to get on the opposite side of the institutions because you want to trade alongside them. We're clearly seeing a lot of strength out of these names. Coinbase as well. Coinbase, monster mover. When the IWM does well, Coinbase, IWM related names do very well. So we're seeing Coinbase do very well also. All of these are signs that the market is starting to get a bit overcooked, right? But overall, when you see these winning names starting to do very well, what tends to happen, for example, say for example NVIDIA has another move up and it starts to like lean lower a bit, right? What ends up happening are the losers or the laggers. For example, Apple clearly not showing as much strength as NVIDIA, not showing as much strength as these chips, coin, etc., right? These lagging stocks start to do better because the money, for example, NVIDIA, right? Once again, I'm just going to go back to NVIDIA. NVIDIA, if it starts chopping around and consolidating, that bullish money is going to go somewhere. It's going to go into Apple. It's going to go into Tesla. It's, same concept. So now Microsoft is another winner, right? When these stocks start to consolidate. So what I'm just trying to show you guys is the money is going to flow into losers. Amazon is setting up for a really nice move to the upside as well. As soon as we break to the upside on this, Amazon is going to rip, and we're going to see above 222. We're going to see above 230 soon. Amazon is setting up for a really, really solid move. This is a bull flag. Should be a very solid move, in my opinion, on Amazon. So when you see a lot of strength in these winners, once they start to pull back a bit, or once they start to consolidate, money is going to go into the losers. And so far what we're seeing is the S&P 500 clearly showing strength above 606. The ES was holding 60.50, right? I was saying the 60.50 level was very, very important on the ES. Once we consolidated, broke above, clear skies to the upside, in my opinion. Very, very difficult to be bearish. NASDAQ, same concept. We have major resistance at 22,700, 22,700, and this is just insane. So you have to just keep this in mind. The IWM was also a really big winner the other day. Today got a bit of a pullback, but in general, the IWM is not going to be a huge winner, but it's a good sign that the IWM is starting to catch a bid, get some strength here. And we could also take a look at Google. Same concept. So Google is not winning, right? It's not doing great, but we can easily break above 173.50. Once it breaks above that, we can see 183 on Google as well. I don't want to necessarily just become extremely bearish. Once again, the main concept is we are showing a lot of bullishness in the market as a whole. What really, really shows me that as well is the VIX is trading below $17. When the VIX is trading below $17, and I know I'm just hammering it down, just giving a bunch of different concepts here, but when the VIX is trading below 17, it's very bullish for the market. The reason for that is because it has an inverse relationship to the S&P 500 and the overall market. If the VIX is falling, then that is very bullish for the market. If the VIX is trading specifically below 17, as we can see, it's 1675. When we're trading below 17 and the VIX continues to fall, the VIX has room to 14 if it continues falling here. If it drops to 14, the S&P 500 is going to continue skyrocketing. So this is bullish for the overall market, the fact that the VIX is this bearish. And the overall market, with the Middle East conflict going on, I hope my mic was not chopping, but with the Middle East conflict going on like this, that would suck. Hope this is not chopping around, but with the Middle East conflict going on like this, overall the market should continue to be bullish. Now that there is some sort of a peace treaty and ceasefire and everything, that's essentially what I'm thinking is going on. Okay, so with that being said, yeah, that's really it. I'll go a bit more in detail at a later video on my thoughts on the conflict with Iran and Israel, and we're also going to touch on the fact that Trump is very upset with how Israel responded to the ceasefire, and how after the ceasefire occurred between Israel and Iran, Israel still took it as an opportunity to send more missiles than it's ever did during this 12-day conflict after the ceasefire. So Trump was very, very upset about that. We're going to also talk about that. But overall, we could also see Bitcoin catching a bid. This overall is very, very good for the overall market. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.